It's interesting if we think about the transformational change going on in healthcare, the legacy, the purchasing environment, the entities where we've been investing capital, everything we've built up has been around the institutions that provide care delivery or the institutions that are involved. And that locus and that shift in decision making and capital and infrastructure and investment hasn't yet started to really migrate into the consumer space. We've got consumer working its way from the outside in, but in the legacy healthcare environment, in the hospital and health system, in the provider practice, a lot of the historical spend, the IT, the workflow, the processes, the regulatory environment, everything was geared to that enterprise, that business. So now we've got consumers who own their data, own their records, and want to be making decisions and be involved and participate and drive their own care. But we've got years and years of investment and capital and technology and a whole layers of process built around the things that they don't have. It wasn't done for them. So I mean that's one of our big shifts. I think if you think about the scope of what we have to deal with as an enterprise, and when we provide healthcare, we've built things for different purposes. Now we've either got to repurpose or build something new. So in the Quintiles IMS world, we engage with patients across a range of healthcare delivery environments. We have a large segment of our business that's focused on clinical research. So we look at new ways of engaging with patients, not only to get them to participate in those studies. I mean, traditionally and classically, being able to get patients recruited and being able to drive the volumes needed to be able to do study performance has been a challenge. Some, businesses or some therapeutic areas may be a little bit easier to address, but we are looking at new and novel engagement modes, technologies, direct patient outreach, participation, and awareness. We're seeing engagement with patients across, what we call the real world, post-market, so post-product approval in a life sciences space, where patients are engaging with their health providers. They're looking at a range of real-world outcomes. We're looking at the effectiveness of how those medicines work. We're looking at the safety of how those medicines work. We're looking at how cohorts and populations behave. And then we're trying to look, just like many other organizations, look at value, determine value of how those treatments work. That helps us essentially understand and better be able to assess the effectiveness, the safety, the value of those particular therapies. Quality is such a challenge right now in terms of measuring quality. We've got to have some kind of consistency around how we measure quality and how we measure what's important to patients. In many cases, we're missing the really broad behavioral and other transformational changes that have got major drivers into those cost outcomes. It's tempting to focus on unit costs. It's tempting to focus on the cost of a particular biopharmaceutical product, or to focus on a particular imaging study, or a particular lab test, or a particular transportation modality. Those things are all, it's tempting, and we certainly need to understand them and get a better handle on costing. What is a challenge is we're not rolling those up and looking at the contribution not only of medicines and interventions and quality of life and preventative measures and economic environment, home support, and a range of other things, all of which roll together that can determine the success or failure of a particular treatment regimen. Behavioral components are a huge aspect of many aspects of disease. And we don't have good quantitative or even qualitative ways to look at what the contribution is to cost and outcomes from behavioral issues. So if you think about cost within it and we shift to quality, we're going to need to roll those pieces together. We've got a lot of components that are hard to quantify today. So we tend to focus on the things that are easy to quantify. Maybe we're missing the mark on some of the broader issues.